The date was Monday, April 14th, 2008. I was on spring break at the time. I was home watching the USA Network, and at the time, I was a huge, avid fan of the USA Network. I tried to watch every single show they had to offer. I was a huge fan of Monk. I love Psych. I watched Walker, Texas Ranger for the longest time. Burn Notice, Royal Pains. I don't think that was even out yet at the time, but you know what I mean. Every show that USA Network had to offer, I wanted to watch it and become a fan of it because I loved the channel so much. I had tried watching WWE before. I believe the first Raw that I ever remember watching was an episode of Raw in late September of 2007. And the only thing I remember from that episode was when Hornswoggle was revealed to be the illegitimate son of Mr. McMahon and that whole storyline, which is pretty funny to think that that was the first wrestling angle that I was ever exposed to, one of the worst in recent memory. But that being said, though, I think I tried tuning in the subsequent weeks. I taped it. I was never able to watch it live, so I just taped it, and I was never able to get to the DVR, so I just forgot about it and never ended up watching it. I watched the 15th anniversary show. I remember watching a bit of that. I watched Ted DiBiase pay off IRS in that Battle Royal to win it. I remember Jeff Hardy versus Carlito in the ladder match of the Intercontinental Championship. So I watched bits and pieces of that show, but still I wasn't an avid fan of wrestling at the time. I remember someone asked me, and I had a friend that was a wrestling fan back in middle school, and I was telling him that I watch Raw on a weekly basis, and he was asking me about Chris Jericho's return, and I had no idea. I didn't even watch the show that night, and he got pissed at me because I thought I knew it all, and I didn't know anything at all. So it was pretty funny, but I didn't consider myself a wrestling fan at the time. I tried watching it. I tried watching WrestleMania, but then I realized that you had to watch it on pay-per-view, and it was $50, so I didn't watch that. But then came April 14th, 2008, the Monday, like I said before, watching Monk on the USA Network, and during a commercial, I saw a commercial, an advertisement for Monday Night Raw that night, and it pitted William Regal and Randy Orton against one another. Randy Orton, the WWE champion at the time, William Regal, the Raw general manager at the time, and that match would be taking place in not live, but you know what I mean, from London, England. I think it was London. It was either London or Manchester. I think it was London, but regardless, so I was hooked. I saw that promo, and I'm like, I need to watch this. William Regal, and I'm part English, so I love England, and just seeing that promo with William Regal and the way that he came across as the GM and the way that he was standing up to Randy Orton, I loved it. And I've gone back on the internet and tried to find that promo for that night's Raw, that commercial, and if anyone finds it, leave it down in the link below, or leave a link down in the comment section below, because I could never find it, and that's what hooked me. I saw that commercial, and I'm like, I need to watch this. I need to watch that guy, William Regal, win in his hometown of England. This is going to be awesome. So credit to WWE's production team for putting it together, because WWE's production team is amongst the best in the world. They do a fantastic job of putting together video packages, even to this day. So I saw that commercial, was instantly hooked, had to tune in that night because it was on break. I was able to watch live, and at that time I went to bed maybe like 10 o'clock or something, but I stayed up to watch this episode of Raw just to see William Regal versus Randy Orton. So I did. I don't remember watching anything else from that show. I probably watched the show, but I don't remember anything else from it. Randy Orton versus William Regal, a very, very good matchup. William Regal, even at one point, hit the knee trembler on Orton, didn't get the 3 count. Orton followed up with an RKO, and it was 1, 2, 3 for Randy Orton. So even though my newfound favorite, William Regal, had lost the match, I was still hooked to see what would happen with Regal next. And luckily enough, just by a turn of events, had this next thing not happened, I probably would not be here talking to you today about this, because the very next week, after William Regal had lost to Randy Orton the week prior on April 14th, 2008, the very next week, William Regal, as the Raw General Manager, inserted himself into the 2008 King of the Ring tournament, defeating Hornswoggle, Finlay, and then finally CM Punk in the finals via submission via the Regal stretch to take home the crown. When I saw that sight of William Regal standing there at the top of the stage with the crown, and he wasn't wearing a crown, but he was sitting in the throne, I was like, I need to watch what this guy's going to do next. He's power hungry, he's a Raw General Manager, he's a wrestler, and now he's the 2008 King of the Ring. So the match with Orton hooked me from the start. That promo hooked me from the start. The match furthered my interest in the product even more. And then when he finally won the King of the Ring tournament that night on April 21st, 2008, I was there. I wanted to see what happened next. And the very next week after that, he was holding his King of the Ring coronation, and he said, and I quote, "I am the most powerful entity in the WWE." Mr. Kennedy came out. They started brawling. And JR said, and I quote, he was utterly humiliated, and those two started feuding. So William Regal, I have to credit, was the one that got me into wrestling and everything else that he did during that point in time when he was turning off the lights on people, being a complete asshole to all the talents in the Raw roster, was definitely the single most powerful entity in the WWE at that time. There's no doubt about it. So that's what hooked me. William Regal. Had it not been for William Regal and his reign as GM and his King of the Ring tournament, I would not be watching wrestling today. And definitely not be doing this video for you today. And then he went on to feud with Mr. Kennedy, and I thought he was being set up for a championship run. And at that point in time, I was not a part of the IWC, the internet community, wrestling community. I'm sorry. I was not looking on the dirt sheets. I think I started reading the dirt sheets, or I discovered them in like November of that year, later on that year. But aside from that, I hadn't read anything at all. And even like in 2009, I didn't even read all that much. It wasn't really until maybe early 2010 that I really got involved in the product and the internet community, with Bleacher Report and Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff. But anyway, at that point in time, William Regal, the reigning Raw GM, was being set up for a championship run, was unfortunately suspended for 60 days after violating the wellness policy, so that sucked, and I hated to see that. And I was just Googling every single day, because at that point, like I said, I wasn't reading the dirt sheet, so I was Googling every single day, when will William Regal be back on Raw? I thought he'd be named the Raw General Manager on the July 23rd episode of Raw that year. I think it was July 23rd. I'm not sure. Maybe July 20... I think it was... I don't know. But anyway, Mike Adamle was named the Raw GM that night, but William Regal did come back. I was super psyched for it, and I've been watching ever since. So that was pretty much the match and the night and the moment that got me into wrestling. William Regal versus Randy Orton. A lot of people have their own stories. I personally have only been watching. Some people are surprised to hear that I've only been watching for 6 years. People have been watching for 5 years, 10 years, 2 decades, 3 decades, their entire life. I wish I could say that. I wish I had got into it earlier, but you never know. Had I gotten into wrestling earlier, I might not even still be watching the product today, because I know a lot of people who watched early on in their childhood got sick of the product and whatnot. So it wasn't... what it is now isn't what it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't compare to what it used to be in the Attitude Era. And there's a lot of people who stuck through it all and have been watching ever since, of course. But there's a lot of people who just got so accustomed to the Monday Night Wars and whatnot that they just dropped off when they got into middle school, high school, and then just didn't watch at all. So that being said, though, I think it's probably better that I ended up watching later, because I watched only a few months before the dawn of the PG era in WWE. WWE went PG almost, I think, maybe 3 months later after I started watching. But even still, though, so this is basically all I know. Like, of course, I've gone back and watched the Attitude Era in the 80s and the 90s and all that kind of stuff, early 2000s. But this is what I know. So I don't have anything to compare off of, and I just love wrestling. I breathe wrestling. I sleep wrestling. I eat wrestling. I do it all WWE. Pro WWE. TNA, too, of course. And I started watching that in August, and I'll probably do a video on that at some point on how I got into TNA. But WWE, my life, I love it. WWE has changed my life entirely, and definitely for the better. I just don't think a lot of people realize how it's done to change the lives of many people over the course of years when they started watching and whatnot. But even still, though, like I said before, a lot of people are surprised to hear that I've only been watching 6 years, and from that point forward, for the rest of 2008, and even to this day, or maybe not so much to this day, but around the time that I started watching, I would always go on Google, always check out the roster page and read up on every wrestler and their background to find out more about each wrestler and find out more about the WWE in general, you know. So I just loved WWE at the time. I hooked it. I still love the product to this day, even more so. I love it more and more every single day. So I just got to credit William Regal for getting me into the product. And yeah, it's just kind of hard to believe it's been 6 years already, and here's hoping for many more to come, and years going forward and years to come. So I look forward to it. Love the WWE. Like I said before, no better time. Like I said in a previous video a couple days ago, no better time to be a wrestling fan right now, I should say, for the WWE reality era. Daniel Bryan is champion. The streak has been broken. The end of an era. Just so much stuff going on right now. The passing of the Ultimate Warrior. Just one of the most historic weeks in pro wrestling, and I'm just happy to celebrate my 6-year anniversary as a wrestling fan. So, of course, in the comment section below, make sure to drop your story, how you got into wrestling, why you're still watching to this day, what you loved about wrestling, what you hate about wrestling, anything, any backstory that you can relate to my story, something completely different. So, always appreciate the feedback. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll be back next week with another vlog video. Stay tuned for the Wrestle Rant videos and all that good stuff as well. So thanks for watching, guys. This is GSM signing out. Till next week, guys.